honourable member from Surrey Centre.
Mr. Speaker, last week the RCMP revealed to Canadians allegations of transnational aggression by the Indian government. This includes tying murders of Canadian citizens on Canadian soil to agents of the Government of India, the use of organized crime to target the Sikh community in Canada, and foreign interference in our democratic processes. This very serious evidence has sent shockwaves through the community. Since then, our allies in the United States, New Zealand, United Kingdom, and Australia have come to support us in our investigation and have urged the Indian government to cooperate. I want to remind the Indian government that Canadians will not be intimidated by the acts of foreign interference and violence. We will not tolerate any form of intimidation, harassment, or harmful targeting of communities in Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member from Mississauga-Malton.
Mr. Speaker, in the wake of the RCMP's alarming statement revealing that they have gathered credible evidence that agents of the Indian government are involved in serious criminal activity in Canada, including coercion, extortion, and homicides, many Canadians are understandably shaken and concerned for their safety. Trust in our institutions is being tested, and the sense of security that Canadians should feel has been deeply affected, particularly within the Sikh and South Asian community. Despite this unsettling news, we must recognize and thank our law enforcement agencies for their tireless work in uncovering these serious threats and taking decisive action to protect our communities. Their work is critical to ensuring the safety of every Canadian, and we stand firmly behind them as they continue these investigations. Together, we will hold those responsible to account. Thank you.
The honourable member for Lévis-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of this Bloc-endorsed Liberal government, we already knew that the federal bureaucracy had reached monumental proportions. But we learned this week that the total number of federal public servants has gone up by 42%, with over 108,000 new employees on the public payroll. Costs, meanwhile, have gone up by 68% since 2016 and are now at a historic high of $67.4 billion of spending on the federal public service. That's enormous, Mr. Speaker. According to Treasury Board data, federal departments barely meet 50% of their goals year after year after year. On top of that, don't forget that spending on consultants alone cost $21.6 billion in 2023-2024, a new record for our country. More bureaucrats, more consultants, fewer services to Canadians. That's a real scandal, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member from Winnipeg North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Did you know that Stephen Harper was the only Prime Minister in history and today that has actually been held of contempt of Parliament, Mr. Speaker? And interesting enough, the leader of the Conservative Party today, you know, the Conservative Reform Party, Mr. Speaker, he was his parliamentary secretary at the time. Is there any surprise that he would not want to get the security clearance necessary in order to understand what's happening on foreign interference, Mr. Speaker? That begs the question. What is the history? What is the past of the leader of the Conservative Party? Does he believe that he's not going to be able to get the security clearance? Is that the reason why he doesn't want it? Canadians have the right to know what is the past. What is he hiding, Mr. Speaker? I want to know. Canadians want to know. Why doesn't the leader of the Conservative Party step up and do the honourable thing and apply for the security clearance?
Here, here. That's a good question.
The honourable member for Mission Matsqui, Fraser Canyon.
Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of NDP Liberals, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and time is up. This weekend in Surrey, over 15,000 people attended Ugly Potato Day, an initiative that invites residents to get imperfect produce for free from farmers. Over 250,000 pounds of produce was donated. Wow. Food insecurity is so harsh that residents were willing to wait in line in one of the worst storms we've seen for hours just to get the chance to get some potatoes and carrots for their families.
Wow.
Food Banks Canada reports that the cost of living has become so high that food bank use has increased by 50% since 2021. British Columbians have the second highest poverty rate in the country, impacting over 382,000 individuals. It's clear things are broken. Canadians need relief, but the Liberal NDP government is not listening. Only common sense Conservatives will reduce spending, eliminate the carbon tax, boost paychecks, and give families some much-needed relief, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member from Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes, Brock.
Thank you, Speaker. After 9 years of these NDP Liberals, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and time is up. Liberals once again find themselves mired in corruption and controversy as witness after witness testified that the Prime Minister and his ministers stood idly by while billions were stolen by businesses falsely claiming to be Indigenous owned. The Assembly of First Nations have testified that the vast majority of companies taking advantage of the Liberal government's Indigenous contracting program are actually shell companies. Rather than helping Conservatives uncover the truth and solve this problem, Liberal MPs held up committee and failed to address the issue of billions being misspent. Wow. While Liberal MPs stall and deflect, common sense Conservatives will continue to investigate the contracting abuse and theft taking place under this Liberal government. We Charity, SNC Lavalin, the Green Slush Fund, ArriveCan, foreign interference, and now Indigenous procurement. When will the Prime Minister do the right thing and call an election?
The honourable member from Kingston in the Islands.
Mr. Speaker, last Monday, the RCMP took the unprecedented step to inform Canadians that agents of the Government of India are involved in serious criminal activity on Canadian soil. These crimes represent a grave threat to our national security. Yet the leader of the Conservative Party is displaying a concerning lack of seriousness in response to the RCMP's alarming announcement. His failure to acknowledge the severity of these actions undermines public confidence in our institutions and Canada's commitment to upholding justice. As Shashi Kurl, president of Angus Reid, said, "I think that's Foley, and frankly, I think he should grow up, get the security clearance, and find out what he needs to find out." At a time when a unified response is required, the leader of the opposition's dismissal sends the wrong message both domestically and internationally. Canadians expect their leaders to prioritize national security and rule of law above partisan politics.
Here, here. They can get you the Rideau Hall.